Pregunto si tengo muchas novias. Muchas novias.
Don't make me
Hoy
dance
tengo
for y'all.
a
Do
una,
it, man.
mañana otra. Me las voy a llevar a todas pa' un VIP, un VIP.
VIP.
Ey, saluden a Titi, vamos a tirarnos un selfie. Seis chis, ey, que sonrían
I love it. That's how we wake up after lunch, man.
Un VIP, ey.
You guys having a good time
Saluden a
today?
Titi, vamos a tirarnos un selfie.
That's amazing.
Seis chis,
Thank you.
que
All right,
sonrían
let's hit
que
it.
ellas
Let's
se
get to the
tiraron de mí.
slideshow.
Me gustan mucho las Gabriela, las Patricia, las Nicole.
All right, I'm really excited to spend some time with you guys today. So I'm going to skip a lot of this presentation. We're going to go through it really fast. I'm going to speak really, really fast, but you guys cool with that, right? All right, so check this out. I wrote a book called The Truth About Failure. I started writing this book in 2020, and it actually came out November 1st. Check this out. Never happened to me before. It's my third publication, okay? I put my heart and soul into this book. When I tell you, like, there are stories in there that I have friends that have known me for 15 years calling me going, dude, I did not know that about you. I put my heart and soul into this book, and when you work on something and you give it your all, you reap the benefits. Am I right? November 1st, my book comes out. November 3rd, we were #1 on business ethics on Amazon. What's up with that? That's a heck of an accomplishment, right? Normally at this point, I would say, give them a round of applause. Give me a round of applause. Let's go. So I'm going to talk to you guys for 20 minutes on how to avoid failure. Would that be okay with you guys? Who believes that failing forward is the path to success? Raise your hand. Okay. Keep those hands up. Keep those hands up. Out of everyone that put their hand up just now, everyone with their hand up, how many of you are quitters? Keep your hand up. You're a quitter. Keep your hand up if you're a quitter. If you're a quitter, keep your hand up. You see how everybody's hands start slowly coming down? They're questioning it. Does anybody know the definition of failure? It literally means to quit. Who here has quit on their industry right now? Who's quit? Does anybody here quit on what you're doing today? No? Because you wouldn't be here if you did. Does that make sense? Right? So in my opinion, I believe that if you are a driven individual, it is impossible to fail. Can you roll with me on that? I want you to have that in your mindset, because the words fail forward will never come out of your daggone mouth ever again. Okay? My name's David Adam Kurz. I'm the founder of the Freedom Organization, and as I've been mentioned a couple times, I'm the president of New World Title Texas, an expansion over there. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit of story on how it went for, yeah, that's me. Go ahead, clap. Yeah. First of all, before I get started, do I have any veterans in the room? Raise your hand. Stand up if you're a veteran. Stand up if you're a veteran. Give these people a round of applause, please. Stand up if you're a veteran. It's just me and you, by the way. We're the only veterans. What's up with that? Right? By the way, happy Veterans Day. What service were you in? Air Force? Okay. I was in the Marine Corps, so tomorrow's Marine Corps birthday, so happy birthday, Marines. Hoorah, I got it in the back. There you go. All right, so now, I'm going to tell you guys a little story on how it went for United States Marine Club owner. You ready for this? I get stationed in Iwakuni, Japan. Iwakuni, Japan. And one day, I'm headed out, I'm bored out of my life. I don't know what to do in Japan. And a group of us that kind of got there at the same time, we knew each other from previous duty stations, we decided to go out in town. Now, Iwakuni, Japan is about 30 minutes south of Hiroshima. You guys have heard of Hiroshima, right? World War II, we bombed it, that place? Okay. So, in Hiroshima, there are nightclubs everywhere. It is a popping town, okay? But I don't really know what I'm doing, because I am a Puerto Rican American dude in Japan, right? And so we're walking down the block, and a door swings over for a nightclub, and all I hear is tickety tiki tiki, tickety tiki tiki. Y'all know what that is, right? So I stop in my tracks, and I go, yo, is that merengue playing out of that club right now? And my buddy looks at me, he goes, what's merengue? He was from Washington State. His name was John Smith. And we go into this club. And this club is owned by Brazilians. Apparently, there is a statute in Japan that if you're Brazilian with Japanese blood, you can come to Japan with dual citizenship. And so with that law, all these Japanese slash Brazilian folks were coming to Japan for work because where they lived in Brazil, they didn't have a lot of money. So we're coming to Japan to work and create. And they ran this nightclub. And they would play Brazilian music, and they would play salsa, and they would play merengue. And so I met the owner, and I was like, yo, what is this? That's how I learned all this. He told me all this information. And then I said to him, you know what would be really cool? If you attracted the military bases and mixed in some English music, some hip-hop, some R&B, stuff like that, right? And he said, well, I don't really have access. And I said, we should partner. And that was my first opportunity at entrepreneurship. By the way, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what the word entrepreneurship was. I just learned how to spell it like 6 weeks ago, right? And so I sat there, and we came up with a plan. We were going to find a bigger space, which we did. It was called Chinatown. I know, irony. And then I would attract the folks from the base, and I would have my own staff. He would attract the people in Hiroshima, and he would have his own staff. And because I couldn't run a bar or have a liquor license, he would run the bar and make the money from the bar. I would make the money from the door. First day we open up, no one shows up. It's 11 p.m. It's me, the entire staff, all the Marines that I hired, bouncers, DJs, you know, you name it, him and his staff behind the bar, no one's there. One of my bouncers says, you know what? I couldn't really find the place. Should we walk around and ask people if they're looking for us? I said, what do we have to lose? 45 minutes later, we had 600 people in the club. It was the craziest night of my life, okay? For the first time in my life, I made some real money. First time in my life. I grew up with a single mother out of the Bronx. We did the welfare. We did the WIC. We did all that stuff. When I was a Lance Corporal in the United States Marine Corps and I had my first daughter, I still qualified for welfare and WIC as a full-time military member of the United States. For the first time ever, in one night, I made $60,000. Now, of course, I was excited about that. So I splurged all that money. I've got none of that left, ladies and gentlemen, okay? We opened up every other weekend, and every other week that I was not open, I was partying my ass off, all right? Because I was rich, according to my standards at the time, right? And one day, you know, I get this bug for entrepreneurship, and one day, the first sergeant calls me to his office. Now, I am, at this time, a corporal in the Marine Corps. I'm stationed in Iwakuni, Japan. I have no relationship with the first sergeant, which means that if the first sergeant ever calls me to his office, it's never good news. He has no reason to call me. I'm not getting an award, okay? And so I walk into his office. He goes, am I to understand that you are running a nightclub in Hiroshima? I said, yes, First Sergeant, I am. And he said, that ends today. Apparently, kind of overlooked this, there is a rule that says that military members of the United States cannot work at an off-base establishment that serves alcohol. I can work anywhere else, but not one that serves alcohol. And I didn't think a dry nightclub was going to be the way to go. So I was immediately out of business. This was the first hiccup. Notice I didn't say failure, right? This is the first hiccup I ever experienced as an entrepreneur. First one. Now I go ahead and move forward years. I earned my bachelor's degree, I earned my master's degree, and I go, it's 9 years later, I'm getting out the Marine Corps, right? Because in my head, there's some corner office with a view of Central Park waiting for me, right? Because I got a master's degree now. Little did I know that that was not the case. I had the toughest time finding a job when I left the military because I had just spent 9 years as a weapons technician. So my job opportunities based on experience were Bloods, Crips, police department. Those were my only options. And so what I decided to do was try to find a sales position. I didn't know anything about sales. I get hired by a guy named George Waldenberg out of Aventura, Florida, owns a company called Cordpac Steel Products. And he says, I'm gonna hire you not because you know what you're doing, because you obviously don't, But because you were in the Marine Corps, and I expect that you would show up on time, leave when you're supposed to, and in between that time, you'll do the job you're required to do. And for the next 3 years, I was the #1 sales rep on his floor. You feeling me? Next 3 years, #1 sales rep on his floor. I'm having a blast. I fell in love with sales. But I had forgotten about being an entrepreneur. Now, all this time, I had my real estate license. And one day, the opportunity to become the sales manager comes up. And I said, I'm going to apply for this position. Why? Because I'm the #1 guy on the floor. So I'm going to apply for the position of sales manager. And I walked into George Waldenberg's office, and I said, hey, George, I heard you hiring for a sales manager. He said, yes, I am. I said, I would like the job. He says, no, I can't give it to you. I said, excuse me? He says, I can't give it to you. I said, why not? He goes, first of all, I want to hire a sales manager with experience. Second of all, if I take you off the floor, I lose 40% of our volume. So it wasn't beneficial to him. Now, I saw it differently. I saw an opportunity where he could put me in a position to teach everybody else what I was doing and maybe triple our sales. He saw the short term, me off the floor, losing 40% of the volume. Does that make sense to y'all? Say yes? Absolutely, right? So naturally, I did what all of us did. I became a real estate agent. Now, I had already had my real estate license, and I did a 2-month kind of goal. And I said, I am going to get into real estate no matter what it takes, and I'm going to sell some houses, and I'm going to get out of this job, because I started calling my cubicle my coffin. And as soon as that cubicle became my coffin, it was the death of me, because I knew that there was no advancement opportunity, and if I stayed there, I would be there for 20, 30 years, and I would lose it all, and I would die in that cubicle. Does that make sense? Yes? Right? And so I decided to do real estate. So I lived an hour away. Those of you that understand Florida, I worked in Aventura. I lived in Homestead. Every single day, I would wake up at 4 in the morning, and I would make it to the gym in Aventura by 5:30 in the morning. From 5:30 to 6:30, I would work out. From 6:30 to 7:30, I would get dressed. From 7:30 to 9, I would do some real estate work. From 9 to 5, I worked at my job. From 5 to 7, I went to the Starbucks down the street. I did some real estate work. From 7 to 9, I showed properties if that was an opportunity. Did that also on the weekends. From 9 to about midnight, I did whatever marketing, preparation, paperwork, contracts, whatever I had to do. Went to sleep around midnight, woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning the next day, did it again. Who here is down with that schedule? It's incredible, right? But when you want something and you really desire something, you'll do whatever it takes to get there, no? Right? And so I did that, and it took me 2 months. In 2 months, I saved 6 months worth of my income. In 2 months, I saved 6 months worth of my income. By the way, I was earning a high six-figure salary. And in 2 months, I made 6 months of my income. I quit my job. I took a week off. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a machine, okay? I took a week off. I relaxed. I took a deep breath. And I got into real estate full-time and never looked back. And now I've been coaching discipline for the last 10 years. Now, here's the results disclaimer of the things that we're going to talk about. First of all, the road to success is not an easy one. Everybody agree? Yes? It is not an easy one. How many of you have ever faced turmoil in your business? How many of you have ever faced turmoil in your life? Yeah, because life happens, right? The other thing is that you do not deserve success. Success must be earned. Who agrees with me? Raise your hand. Success must be earned. There are so many people in the world right now that believe they deserve it because they posted 5 times on social media last month. It doesn't work that way. You got to go out there and you got to earn success. And how you react to hiccups in life, notice we're not saying failure anymore, right? What's the word we're saying? Hiccups. When how you react to hiccups in life is everything, it will determine your future, okay? And the foundation of your business can never be neglected. Can you build the Empire State Building on the beach? No, you can't. You cannot build a skyscraper on sand. Can you do that? No. You have to build a strong foundation, right? And the foundation is something that should never, ever be neglected. Now, the truth about failure, we're going to talk about avoiding failure. We're going to talk about screw fail forward. We're never going to say that again, right? Because if you can change your mind, you can change your place, you can change your growth pace. Does that make sense? Now, my goal is that we're going to understand that the only way for you to avoid failure is through knowledge and action. You agree with me? Knowledge and action. Say yes. right? And the only way to attain that knowledge and action is through education. So give yourselves a round of applause for getting educated right now. Now, I'm going to pass my track record. I'm going to pass my books. We're going to talk about this. We already talked about that. And what I want to accomplish out of that job, what I really wanted out of that job, was I wanted to live a luxury lifestyle. And that's why I was excited about earning six figures. Ladies and gentlemen, I had earned six figures for the first time in my life ever. I lived in a penthouse in downtown Miami, and I drove a Cadillac. I thought I was made, right? Like, that was the American dream for me at the time, okay? And I had no idea what I was doing, so I was doing everything by mistake. And so I knew I needed something more. I knew I needed something better. I knew I needed something life-changing, and I did my 2 months to freedom that we just talked about, right? Now, I was really, really great at sales. You guys heard me say that. I fell in love with sales, but I was horrible at running a business. And what I've realized in all the years that I've been in real estate is that 90% of real estate agents do not treat their business like a business. They treat it like a job. They wake up in the morning and they live, instead of paycheck to paycheck, they live closing to closing. How many of you feel that way right now? Like you're in the wheel, and you're just like, you need that next closing. Raise your hand if you need that next closing. It's okay, don't be shy, because I promise you're not gonna be the only one in the room. Okay? Now, what I did was I learned a ton, and I earned because of my learning. But it wasn't just the learning. It was the action of getting my team organized so that we can start growing. And financial freedom was finally in my grasp. Like, it was right there. I could feel it, right? And so after 18 years being in this business, I've discovered the hard way of doing things, and many of you have already been there, and you're probably struggling, and you probably know it, and the hard way is very simple. Being told that you're supposed to fail forward. I hate that advice. How many of you saw The Secret? You guys remember The Secret, right? So remember in The Secret, they said, listen, you have to put out to the universe what you want to get, right? Yet we're out here telling people to fail forward. So what are you telling the universe? That you want to fail. Why don't we switch that up to succeed forward, right? I'll tell you guys a little story. Can I tell you a story? Yes? So when I was a kid, I had posters of Lamborghinis and swimsuit models on my wall. It was your typical teenage boy, right? I had Lamborghinis and swimsuit models on my wall. And then I put up this one big mansion one time. And I said, God, if you give me anything in life, all I want to do is live in a really big house with a really nice car and a lot of fine women. I spoke to the universe, man. You know what? The universe said, no problem. Today, I live in a really nice house. I drive a really nice car. And I live with my wife, 3 of my 4 daughters, my mother, and my mother-in-law. None of them ugly. The universe listened. I wasn't very specific, so it just gave me what I thought it should give me, right? And so I want you to really get out of the mindset of failing forward. Hitting brick walls and glass ceilings every time we turn. Building big businesses on sand foundations. The deceit of partners, friends, and people out in the world. Lawsuits, selling with no strategy. Millions invested, millions lost, millions earned. All this information, thousands of hours invested in your businesses. And I'm going to help you avoid some of my pitfalls, but you got to stay with me. You going to stay with me? Awesome. So we're going to talk about the 3 secrets to avoiding failure. Secret number 1 is how to build a strong mindset that removes the word failure from your vocabulary. Secret number 2, how to build a foundation that sets the precedence on how big your company, team, or business could grow. Secret number 3, leads, clients, past clients, leverage. Those stages right there, if you truly understand them and know how to work them, they are life-changing stages. Now, with secret number 1, we're going to talk about statistics. How many of you have ever been told, maybe you don't want to raise your hand, maybe you do, but how many of you have ever been told that because of where you come from and because of who you are, success is probably not within your grasp? Many. How many of you were told by your family members? Right? First of all, like I mentioned to you guys earlier, I'm Hispanic. Latino parents are the worst at this. If you tell your Latino parent that you're about to go get a commission job, ay, Dios mío. Why would you do that, mijo? You're educated. Why would you do that? Right? I want you to understand that it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you come from, and the statistics have no play in who you can become in your life. Y'all with me? Yes. All right, time valuement. Who understands time blocking? Right? How many of you are really good at time blocking? Some of you, right? Now, how many of you really prioritize the blocks in your day? See how the hands go down? Because many times people can become good at being extra with their calendar. Who's ever heard the phrase, if it's not on your calendar, it does not exist? Exactly, right? And so what happens is that people just put things on their calendar, but they fail to value their time. And so a friend of mine, Nick Sarnicola, who owned a fitness company that sold for, I think, $80 million, he came up with this concept, and he said, I know my house has to be cleaned, but I don't want to do it because I find no joy in cleaning my house. So I'm going to hire somebody to do that. I know that my clothes need to be washed, but I find no joy in washing my clothes. So I'm going to leverage and hire somebody to do that. And I'm going to pick the things that provide the most value to my business, to my life, and to my family. And I'm going to do those things, and I'm going to leverage everything else. Does that make sense to y'all? So I want you guys to think about time valuement, and I want you to take the things that value the most and put them on the top of your calendar, because how you start your day is on fire. By the end of the day, you're feeling exhausted, right? So put the most valuable things on your calendar towards the top, and you'll find significant success with that. We already talked about how the road to success is filled with peril. We already know that it's a struggle. We already know that it's curvy, it's rocky, there's mudslides, there's all kinds of stuff in the way. But as long as you keep going, it's impossible to fail. Say yes with me. Your reaction to things that happen in your life is everything. How many of you have been talked shit about? Oh yeah, let's put those hands up, right? It happened to me at a very high level at some point. I actually had I call them lovers. You guys might call them haters. I call them lovers. I had a lover on social media that was just going crazy, right? And the reason I don't call them haters is because all he could do was talk about me. So he had to be a lover, right? And all he did was spend time on social media trying to bash me any which way he could. Problem is, I outworked him. That was my response to him. I got a phone call from one of my friends. He said, hey, listen, what are you going to do? Are you going to post something back at him on social media? I go, what is this, third fucking grade? Am I supposed to meet him outside at 3 o'clock? No. Let him look like a fool. I will continue to do what I do. So how you react to the things in your life will determine your future. They will push you in the right direction. If you respond hastily, if you respond in negative fashion, guess what? The next few stages are going to be negative stages. Y'all with me? Yes? Right? But if you respond in positive stages, you're going to see that those positive actions will take you in a positive direction. And you will continue to build and grow the way that you want to without all the noise and the chatter in the background. Who wants some of that, right? All right, so I'm going to skip some of these videos because... All right. Now, how many of you believe you can do this? Just the simple stuff that we talked about right now. I'm glad that you do believe it. I believe in you. I know that you can. I know that you will. So let's talk about some innovation. How many of you believe that innovation changes the world? Yes, right? And if you don't innovate, you will stagnate. Anybody know the Blockbuster Netflix story? Right? Who here remembers Blockbuster? I mean, it was fun going to Blockbuster, right? It smelled like popcorn, you know? All the movies were out, so what would you do? You would stand by the front counter, you'd be like, yo, when Die Hard coming in? How many Die Hards you got coming in tonight? Some of you have no idea what Die Hard is, which is great, right? It's an opportunity. Do you know, how many of you know this? Netflix went to Blockbuster and offered a partnership to take their movies online. How many of you know that story? Very few of you. What did Blockbuster say? There's no way in the world that someone will want to watch an entire 2-hour movie on their computer. How many of you have seen a whole movie on this device right here? Yeah. Innovation changes the world, baby. So I want you to think about that when you're thinking about your business. Study your competition, know what's happening around, and innovate in your business. One of the easiest ways to innovate is to door knock the market that you're pushing and ask them, who was your agent when you moved, who sold you this house? They'll give you a name, maybe they won't, because most of them don't remember, which is an opportunity for you. Then you're gonna ask them, what did you love about the experience? And what did you hate about the experience? And after you knock on 100 doors, you know what you're gonna find? Some commonalities on the things that they disliked about their home purchase. And then you're going to find a way to fix that, and the next postcard comes out is gonna talk about how you fix that. Does that make sense to y'all? Because if 80 out of 100 people say one thing, I don't like that I didn't know the neighborhood well enough and neither did my agent, you're gonna send a postcard that talks about how well you know the neighborhood and how you would like to have a tour of all the newest restaurants coming out. Does that make sense to y'all? Yes, right? Next thing is an SOP. Anybody know what an SOP stands for? Standard operating procedures. Some of y'all know it, some of y'all don't. If you're military, you definitely know it. You know, when I was in the Marine Corps and I walked into an armory, I didn't need anybody to tell me what to do. I could walk over to the standard operating procedure, I could pull it off the wall, I could read it, and I understood it. If you ever wanted to sell your business, would you not need documentation that shows how you operate your business? So create it now. Create it now. I don't care how small or big your business is, create it now. How do you get leads? How do you convert them? What systems do you use? How much money do you put in there? What kind of return on investment are you looking at? What is important to you in the process? That way, one day, you can either A, hire a CEO to take over your business and give them the Bible and say, this is how we operate our business, train them for about a year and then go to the beach. Or B, sell your business and say, this is how we operate our business, this is where the money is at. Does that make sense to y'all? Yes? Okay. Without that, it's virtually impossible to have an exit plan. How many of you are real estate agents with a true, legitimate exit plan? Look around, folks. Very few. You should really start thinking about your exit plan, whether that means you shut down your business and retire, or that means you're selling your business. Understand your money in, money out. Return on investment is important. The disc profile. Anybody ever heard of the disc profile? All right, so I'm gonna show you how to get a free disc profile at the end of this. Y'all want a free disc profile? A disc profile will teach you if you are a dominant, an influencer, conscientious, or steady in your business, in your life, in your personality. Not only will it teach you who you are, it'll teach you where you waste the most time so that you can fix that. And if you study this well enough, you get to understand other people. How many of you have ever heard, if you want to be a great salesperson, you must mirror the person you're trying to sell to? Everybody ever heard of the mirroring technique? Right? This is how you do it. Very difficult to mirror personality if you don't even understand personalities in the start. Does that make sense to y'all? Right? All right, now if you don't do it, look, you will stagnate, fall behind. You'll never be systemized enough for an exit plan. You'll spend tons of money with zero direction, and you'll never be able to meet the people that you are trying to sell them at. I'm gonna skip this video too. Many of you know. All right, so leads, clients, past clients, and leverage. What did I say about this? This could potentially change your what? Your life. If you understand each of these stages and know how to process each of these stages, right? Some people are really, really bad at getting leads, but they know how to close a client. Some people are really, really great at closing leads, can't convert anybody. But if you get really good at getting leads from all the different possible directions that you can get leads, and then you become very, very good at converting them into clients, and then you become very, very good at keeping a relationship with your past clients, and then you become very, very good at leveraging your business, because if you do those three things really, really great, a lot of business will come your way, and you'll have to leverage. Does that make sense? Yes? Right? In order for you to grow. And I remember when I started in this business, I started buying leads. Nobody told me that the number one source for lead flow was this. This right here. Everyone in this phone is a potential client, but we're too afraid to call them. We would rather speak to people we don't know. which is insanity to me. Every single client that I work with, first thing we do is dump their phone, go through the entire contact list, make them update everybody's email address, and information, find out if they're a home buyer or a home seller, find out if they're a homeowner or a tenant, and I make them go through it from A to Z. You know what happens in the process? I get a client right now, Andy, in San Antonio, Texas. Andy started at A, he is only at J, 3 listings, 4 buyers. So all you gotta do, talk to people who already know you. It is not their job to remember that you're in real estate. It is your job to remind them. We have this fallacy that we believe that because they're friends and family, they should remember. No, my friend, they got a life too. It's our job to remind them. So getting leads, converting leads, communication with past clients is critically important. And then, of course, leveraging for growth. Now, leverage became an aha moment for me because I always understood leverage at a high level, but I was always in my business. How many of you have ever had a boss that was still in your business? That was me, right? And so one day I go on vacation with Rudy. Everybody met Rudy, right? I go on vacation with Rudy, and I have a backpack. And he's walking around with no backpack. We're at the airport. And we go to the bar to have a drink, and he looks at me. He goes, "What do you have in there?" And I'm like, my laptop, my charger, my iPad, my other charger, my phone charger, my backup battery. He's like, "Why?" And I go, "Bro, I have a business to run." And he goes, and he walked away. I said, wait a minute. And I didn't take any more conversation other than that to realize that Rudy had done such a great job in leveraging his people that he didn't need to carry a laptop or anything with him. He didn't need to do that. He was in a position where he could make a phone call. All he needed was his phone. And he could receive a phone call with whatever was happening, and he could make a phone call to the right person on his team, and that team member would handle it for him, and he was in the clear until the result came in. And he needed to do nothing else with it. And he can do that over and over and over and over again because he had such an amazing staff in place and great people in place. And me, pendejo, with my backpack, my computer, my iPad, my charger, worried about whether or not they're gonna have Wi-Fi at the Airbnb. This guy was on cell signal, like, yeah, hold on, I'm gonna put her on hold. Hey, can you handle this for me? Yeah, okay, thanks guys, bye. And that's leverage, baby, because the only way that you can grow your business is through leverage. Everybody believe that, yes? Right? Now, did you guys know, by the way, did you guys know that if you hire an assistant, it'll double your business? The right assistant and the right separation from you and the business will double your business. Here's the crazy part. Rudy gave you a solution a little bit earlier today. He said, we want to give each and every one of you guys a transaction coordinator. If you guys could go under contract and then pass that contract on to a transaction coordinator and allow them to schedule all the appointments, track the paperwork, track the escrows, send emails out, do all that stuff, how much time would that give you? A tremendous amount of time, because if you're in real estate, you are not supposed to be an administrator. You're supposed to be an agent, salesperson, real estate agent, a marketer, all that good stuff. And if you're really good with leverage, at some point you could give up the marketing position too and have somebody else run your marketing for you. And then you continue to be a salesperson. And you keep increasing your business in that sense. And then when the files become too much for you and the clients become too much for you, you bring on people who are salespeople. Does that make sense to y'all? Say yes? All right. How many of you have tried this and it's failed? Like, come on, raise your hand. How many of you have tried this and had tremendous hiccups, right? You hired an assistant, you didn't know what to tell them to do. They were just sitting there. Sir, can I get some paperwork? And you didn't know what to give them because you were a control freak, right? So now, I'm gonna give you something. I want you guys to take a piece of paper. I want you to put a line down the middle. On one side of that paper, I want you guys to say, or write down everything that you love about the business that you do. On the other side of the paper, I want you to write down all the things that you absolutely dislike doing in this business. Then I want you to take all the dislikes and I want you to turn them into a job description. That is your new assistant's job. that would free you up from tremendous amount of suffering because you can't be good at everything. Yes? All right. So now, you can build a strong mindset, you can build a strong foundation, and you can convert leads to clients, clients to past clients, and understand the leverage at a high level. It's very easy to do. Let me ask you a question. Are you guys ready to remove the word failure from your vocabulary? Oh, no. Let me ask that again. Are you guys ready to remove the word failure from your vocabulary? Oh, thank God, because I was a little worried there. I was like, what am I doing up here, right? So I created this book, The Truth About Failure, and I created a training platform with it. How many of you saw the book out at the stand outside, right? Many of you. How many of you passed by and you weren't sure if you wanted to buy it? How many of you want to buy it now? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you for the 6 people that clapped. I love you, bro. You know what? As a matter of fact, I only got 6 copies left. This is for y'all. No. So we created this amazing training platform that goes with the book, right? Now, the book is $19.95 or $20, signed copies outside. The training platform is $495, but we did something different, right? And so if all this did, listen, if all this did was give you an extra deal a month, would it be worth it? If it gave you 2 extra deals a month, would it be worth it? All right? This is what I'm telling you right now. The true cost of everything that you see up here is about $7,500. Everything we're gonna go over right now. It is my book, which is $19.99, $20, right? It is $495 for the training. It's $500 for the Abelson disc profile. So here's what I'm telling you. You're gonna have an opportunity to get the Abelson disc profile, which I am Abelson certified, to help you figure out your personality and where you're wasting the most time. Would that be helpful to you guys? Yes? Yes. And then the other part is I created the Freedom Achiever Academy. It's an online training course. There's a $5,000 value to that. And then, of course, a professional training in the background with the creator of the Abelson disc test. It's $7,500 worth. It's a huge investment in your life, but I'm not going to sell it for you for that. This is what I want you to do. For $199.90, you can go to Amazon. You can buy 10 books. If you buy the 10 books and you send us proof of that, we're going to give you everything on that list for free. Does that work for you guys? Yeah, some of you are in, right? 6-1. I'm good. All right. So let me show you how that's going to happen. I want you guys to visit thetruthaboutfailure.com. Truthaboutfailure.com, and that's where you can purchase the book. If you want a signed copy, you can go to my table. There's somebody there waiting for you, and you can do it there as well. Okay? Now, you can do nothing and keep doing what you're doing right now, or you can spend a couple $100 and change your life. But here's the thing with the 10-book thing. Those 9 books, they don't go in the trunk of your car. Those 9 books are gifts from you to somebody else to give you the opportunity to change somebody else's life. You guys be good with that, yes? It's an amazing opportunity, by the way, okay? So this is what you're getting for $199. I'm gonna get through all this crap. Here's an easier way to get to it. If you text your name and email address to this phone number right now, my assistant, I want you guys to drive her crazy, by the way, okay? Text your name and email address to this phone number right here. If you text your name and email address to this phone number right here, my assistant is gonna send you information about everything that we just talked about, okay? So you don't have to run out there right now. You don't have to go to the website. You don't have to go to Amazon. She's gonna give you all the information. By the way, this will be extra fun for me because my immediate assistant is my daughter. So if you guys drive her completely insane for the next 5 minutes, I would love you to death. Okay? This will test her skills out. So just text your name and email address to this phone number right here, and you're gonna be tremendously impressed with what we're doing and what we're building. How'd you guys like today's training right now so far? Guys, incredible, incredible setting. Thank you very much for giving me 30 minutes of your time. The next speaker that's coming up, I hate to say, is much more charismatic than me. So hold on one second. Thank you, guys.